What's happening, everybody? On today's show, Auburn has made their offensive coordinator hiring official. Ole Miss loses another assistant football coach. LSU may lose one already. Also, it was a busy Saturday of SEC hoops with a couple of big upsets. Could Tom Crean get the axe soon from Georgia? And we'll run through some of the big storylines from opening weekend of SEC baseball. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On SEC is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. Let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And we start over at Georgia as we'll get to the weekend recap in basketball in just a second. But Tom Crean and the Georgia Bulldogs having an awful season. Many are wondering if his tenure is coming to an end very soon after Saturday's 85-68 home loss to Ole Miss. Well, Tom Crean did not do himself any favors. He had a Zoom mishap in which Crean thought the media call on Zoom was over, but the feed was still going, resulting in him calling out a grad assistant for leaking news of an assistant coach's suspension, as well as berating one of his players. Georgia on Saturday did issue a statement declining to comment directly both on the incident and on Crean's future, saying only that reports related to athletic personnel ranged from completely inaccurate to incomplete and premature. Crean was scheduled to meet with the media on Friday before his appearance was canceled less than an hour before it was set to begin, adding to speculation about his job security. After the canceled appearance, SB Nation reported that Georgia may be looking into firing Crean for cause after failing to properly report the incident with the assistant coach and the suspension. So it's a whole lot of bad with Georgia basketball right now, and this could very well lead to Tom Crean being gone at the end of this year. But what have we learned from the whole pandemic? Never talk about somebody while you could still be on a Zoom. Make sure the Zoom is closed, Tom Crean. By the way, Crean and Georgia are 6-21 now on the season. Meanwhile, over at Auburn, they announced on Friday that they have officially promoted wide receivers coach Eric Kiesau to offensive coordinator. Defensive analyst Rock Bellatoni was promoted to edge linebackers coach and special teams coordinator. Both those guys have combined 44 years of coaching experience. Harsin also promoted Zach Etheridge, his secondary coach, to associate head coach. In his announcement, Brian Harsin cited it's great to have continuity with all these guys that were here sticking around. Kiesau was named wide receivers coach at Auburn back in last September after serving as a senior offensive analyst since February when he came over with Harsin. Prior to coming over to Auburn, Kiesau spent 4 seasons at Boise State with Brian Harsin. He is Auburn's third offensive coordinator since Brian Harsin took over 14 months ago. Mike Bobo was the hire originally. He was fired at the end of last season. His replacement, Austin Davis, stepped down from his position last month after just 6 weeks on the job. Meanwhile, over at Auburn, grad assistant coach Brett Jackson, he is leaving the program. It was announced he will be joining Oregon's coaching staff. That's according to Matt Zenitz of On3 Sports. Jackson had been on Auburn staff for 1 season. He graduated from South Louisiana Community College and, as we said, was working as a grad assistant with the DBs. In other Auburn news, Jeremiah Wilson has joined the Tigers staff as a DB analyst. That's from Matt Zenitz of On3. Zenitz notes that Wilson was DB's coach at Akron last season. Wilson did spend 2 seasons on Jeremy Pruitt's Tennessee staff as a defensive quality control assistant. So big news came out on Friday. We will get more into this throughout the week. as we have some special guests joining us to talk about it. But the college football playoff was announced on Friday will officially stay at 4 teams through 2026. The field will not expand until then at the earliest. So 4 teams in the SEC. No 18 or in the playoff. No 8 teams, no 12 teams like some people thought they were going to expand. Look, it's no sweat off the SEC's back. SEC will just continue to get 1 or 2 teams in, and some years have 2 teams playing for the title, like they already have a couple of times. So no big deal for the SEC. Still a good chance of any to get 2 SEC teams in every year. Over at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, he has another vacancy to fill on his coaching staff. According to Pete Thamel, newly hired special teams coordinator Jeremy Springer is heading to the NFL. Springer accepted a job as the Rams' new assistant special teams coach. Spent last year at Marshall, had recently agreed to become Ole Miss's special teams coach. He is on the move back to the NFL. Meanwhile, Cortez Hankton, who recently left Georgia to join Brian Kelly's staff at LSU, he is receiving some NFL interest. A report came out on Friday from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network that Sean McVay is searching far and wide, and Cortez Hankton will interview for the offensive coordinator job with the Rams. Position is open because Kevin O'Connell left to be the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Hankton was named passing game coordinator, wide receivers coach at Georgia ahead of the 2019 season. Again, after winning the national championship this year, he joined Brian Kelly in Baton Rouge. He's a New Orleans native. Also, quick LSU note, it was announced on Friday, LSU will begin spring practice on March 24th. Their annual spring game at Tiger Stadium will be held on April 23rd. So starting to get a lot of the news around a lot of the spring games. We should have all those dates finalized very soon across the conference. Meanwhile, South Carolina, they rewarded 6 assistants for their work during a successful 2021 season. Defensive coordinator Clayton White, he is now at more than $1 million per season in salary. Defensive coordinator Clayton White, as we said, he went up to $1.1 million. Special teams coordinator Pete Lembo, running backs coach Montario Hardesty, receivers coach Justin Stepp, D-line coach Jimmy Lindsay, and head strength coach Luke Day all had 1-year extensions and raises approved on Friday from South Carolina. Meanwhile, over at Georgia, Stetson Bennett soaking up all his, not quite 15 minutes of fame, a little bit more than that after leading Georgia to the national championship. But a video came out on Friday as he was at Foley Field with the Georgia baseball team ahead of the start of their season, taking part in batting practice. Wasn't captured on video, but it was reported that Stetson Bennett did launch a home run over the left center field fence. Stetson Bennett, what can't he do these days? Going to take a BP with the Georgia baseball team hitting home runs. Meanwhile, a quick note on the Georgia Bulldogs. Former Georgia football player Adam Anderson was given the go-ahead Friday in an Athens courtroom to attend the program's pro day next month. Now it's up to the school to permit its former star outside linebacker who is charged with felony rape. Georgia has not made up its mind yet, Anderson's attorney told the Athens Banner-Herald. So we will see if Georgia opts to let him take part in the pro day coming up in a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, lastly, Charlie Strong. He is set to come back to college football, joining the Miami Hurricanes. According to Chris Lowe of ESPN, Strong is set to be hired as Miami's linebackers coach. Of course, Charlie Strong spent many years in the SEC. He's head coach at Texas. Just a couple of years ago, last year, he joined Urban Meyer's staff with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he'll get to stay in the state of Florida. There you have it. That is around the conference. Thank you guys again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Coming up next, we will hit on some of the big basketball recaps from the weekend. That is coming your way right after this. Look, football is over, guys, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. And for all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net. They are your number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline, they remain the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news throughout the year. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net, they are your source for hockey, boxing, UFC odds, right to your Olympic coverage and information. Head on over to their website today. You can do so on your mobile device or your desktop and learn more about all the trends and action. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. Go check them out today. Rolling along here, locked on SEC, and man, it was a busy basketball weekend with a couple of big upsets. I figured we'd jump right into it and let's recap a little bit of what happened from over the weekend in the SEC. And we start with the headliner of the weekend as unranked Florida took down number 2 ranked Auburn 63-62. Tyree Appleby and company, they were swarmed by students as they rushed to court in one of Florida's biggest home upsets in over 30 years. Appleby scored 20 of his 26 points in the second half. Colin Castleton had 19, and Florida rallied to beat number 2 Auburn to extend their home dominance in the series. It was Florida's first home victory against a ranked team that high in the AP poll. Florida coach Mike White, he improved to 5-0 against Auburn coach Bruce Pearl. I don't know what it is. He just has his number. And Auburn lost their second straight game on the road, both games ending with fans rushing the court. And they dropped their first game this season in regulation. Remember, their 2 losses this season to UConn and Arkansas were both in overtime. This was also Florida's 14th straight win over Auburn in Gainesville. It was the first court storming in Gainesville since a victory against TCU in the NIT back in 1986. Projected lottery pick Jabari Smith, he had 28 points to lead Auburn. Katie Johnson had 12. Walker Kessler had 11. A lot of folks are critical, saying in the final possession, Jabari Smith should have had the ball in his hands, not Green. But ultimately, Auburn, they'll try to rebound. They will host Ole Miss on Wednesday night. The Tigers won the first meeting between the two teams back in January. Florida, they will host number 23 Arkansas on Tuesday night. The Razorbacks have won 6 straight at home, entering Saturday's game against Tennessee. Speaking of that one, number 23 Arkansas, they held Tennessee to 2 field goals in the final 8 minutes and used an 11-1 run late in the second half for a 58-48 win over number 16 Tennessee on Saturday. The win was Arkansas's 11th in 12 games, while the Vols lost just their second time since January 15th. Jalen Williams, he scored 13 points, grabbed 16 rebounds for the Razorbacks, picking up his 4th straight double-double. J.D. Note had 13 points for the Razorbacks. Neither team led by more than 4 points until Devo Davis made a 3 from the corner in the midst of the Razorbacks' late run. The Vols shot just 26% from the field as a team. Arkansas is a little bit better, shooting 31%. But turnovers, the biggest difference. Tennessee committed 15, leading to 13 Arkansas points. 2 teams are tied for 3rd in the SEC, a game behind Kentucky, 2 games behind Auburn, with 4 regular season games to go. Next up, Arkansas. They will play at Florida on Tuesday. Tennessee there at Missouri. Meanwhile, Kellen Grady had a career day for the Kentucky Wildcats as they used a furious rally to come back to beat Alabama 90-81 at Rupp Arena. Grady made 7 threes for a season-high 25 points. Oscar Tshiebwe added 21 with 14 rebounds, and Kentucky rallied to top number 25 Bama. Shorthanded in this one, they were, because they had injuries to both starting guards, Ty Washington and Severe Wheeler. The Wildcats, they trailed 46-34 with 3.5 minutes to go before halftime, before closing with 13 straight points for their first lead. Grady's three-pointer provided the go-ahead that drew a thunderous reaction from the 20,000 fans in Rupp Arena. Tshiebwe was 9 of 13 from the field, while Jacob Toppin added 13 points and 6 boards. Jaden Shackelford had 18 points for the Tide, who had won their previous 3. Kentucky made 9 of 14 from behind the arc. The Cats outscored Bama 62-40 in the last 24.5 minutes. Bama, next up, they will visit Vanderbilt Tuesday night. Kentucky, they host LSU on Wednesday. One more thing of note from this one, Alabama remained number 22 in the net ratings, even after the loss to Kentucky. So some of these losses for Bama are good losses. It's not hurting them very much in the rankings. It means they should still be seated relatively high when we get into tournament time. Other games from the weekend, LSU lost a heartbreaker on the road at South Carolina, 77-75. Jermaine Cousinard scored a career-high 33 points. South Carolina rallied to beat LSU for its third straight win. Tari Eason, he had 21 points with 10 rebounds for LSU. Darius Days, he had 18. LSU saw its 3-game win streak come to an end. They will travel to play 4th-ranked Kentucky on Wednesday. The Gamecocks will host Mississippi State Wednesday. Ole Miss, they beat up on Georgia and Athens, 85-68. Ty Fagan, he had 20 points in that one. And Vanderbilt beat Texas A&M in Nashville, 72-67. Scottie Pippen Jr. had 24 points and 6 boards. The Aggies have now lost 9 of their last 10 games. Not good for Buzz Williams and company. And there you have it. That is the weekend that was in SEC hoops. When we return, we'll jump into a little bit of what happened over the weekend in SEC baseball. That's coming your way next. Look, this is the time of year that I know a lot of you have given up on your New Year's resolutions, but it is never a bad time to go check out our friends over at Built Bar. Built.com is the website. And look, you're going to find something that you like. It's something that can maybe get you away from some of that junk food out there and eating a little bit healthier. And that is with our friends at Built Bar. Have you tried their puffs yet? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They are fluffy. They're not just a protein bar. They are a treat, and they are covered in 100% real chocolate. The Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors, from cinnamony churro to coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. These are going to be your new favorite. All Built Bars, as we mentioned, covered in 100% real chocolate, even the Puffs as well. Low calorie, high in protein. Replace your candy bars with these. You can't go wrong. Go check them out right now at their website, built.com. And when you find something you like, make sure you use our promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15. That's going to get you 15% off your first order. Use the promo code LOCKED15. Get 15% off at built.com. Run along here, Locked On SEC. And thank you guys again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. SEC baseball was back in action over the weekend. And man, do we have some interesting storylines from this one. So let's jump into it. Recapping the weekend that was. And man, one of the shockers was seeing number 4 ranked Mississippi State drop an opening home series to 24th ranked Long Beach State. The Bulldogs were shut out on Friday night 3-0 before getting blown out on Saturday 13-3. They were able to avoid the sweep on Sunday, winning 12-4. Cade Smith pitched really well on Sunday to get the win. State's ace, Landon Sims, he pitched a gem on Friday night, went 7 innings, allowed just 1 run on 5 hits to go with 13 strikeouts, but he just did not get any run support. Then Casey Hunt got shelled on Saturday. Logan Tanner, he was just 3 for 12 on the weekend at the plate, while Luke Hancock was 3 for 11. So the Dogs need to dig deep and find those bats. Meanwhile, Arkansas baseball, they took a shock of their own. They fell on Friday night to Illinois State 3-2 before coming back to win Saturday 5-1 and Sunday 4-2. Connor Nolan gave up just 2 runs in 5 innings on Friday night, but the Razorbacks had just 4 hits Friday night. Hagen Smith and Jackson Wiggins, they both pitched well in games 2 and 3. And Arkansas's bats woke up with 8 hits Saturday and 12 hits on Sunday. Robert Moore, he hit a home run for the Razorbacks and drove in 3 on the weekend. Arkansas, they dropped their season opener for the first time in 28 years. Coach Dave Van Horn, way to rally the troops and still win the series. Meanwhile, number 3 ranked Vanderbilt, they took on number 7 Oklahoma State over the weekend. They won Friday night 3-0 before falling 4-3 and 7-5 to drop the series. Nick Maldonado and Carter Holton both gave up 4 runs apiece in the 2 losses. Star outfielder Enrique Bradfield, he's off to a slow start for Vandy. He went just 2 for 9 at the plate with 2 RBIs and 4 strikeouts. Vandy, what's going on, fellas? Meanwhile, number 5 Ole Miss, they swept their series versus Charleston Southern, winning 9-3, 11-1, and 12-2. Derek Diamond picked up the win on Friday night, allowing just 2 runs with 8 strikeouts. Tim Elko hit not one but 2 home runs on the weekend as he is back from that torn ACL last year. He drove in 4 on the weekend. He should be poised for a monster year. The Ole Miss pitching staff did a solid job all weekend holding Charleston Southern to just 13 total hits in the series. Meanwhile, over in Baton Rouge, the Jay Johnson era got underway in historic style for number 8 LSU as they swept Maine. But the offense was the story as they scored in double digits in all of them. 13-1, 17-8, 21-6. Some football scores there for LSU. It was a program record for runs scored in a 3-game series, scoring 51 total. Blake Money, he picked up the win on Friday night for LSU, while Javen Coleman and Ty Floyd picked up the other wins. 7 LSU hitters are batting 400 or better after their first weekend series. Braden Jobert, Cade Doty, and Jacob Berry all hit 2 home runs apiece. One unfortunate piece for the weekend for LSU. They lost DH Cade Beloso indefinitely after injuring his knee in a pregame huddle on Friday night. So he didn't even get to play this season, and his year may already be done. Number 9, Florida, they dropped 2 out of 3 against Liberty in Gainesville. They won Friday night 7-2 before falling 6-4 and 5-3. Hunter Barco, he pitched 6 shutout innings, allowing just 1 hit with 11 strikeouts at Friday night's win. He was really good. But the Gators had just 6 hits Saturday and only 5 hits on Sunday. And the Liberty Flames got a big series win over Florida. Judd Fabian, he went just 1 for 9 on the weekend at the plate. Sterling Thompson, he had 2 home runs for the Gators, driving in 5. But it was not enough to win the series. Number 19, Tennessee, they swept Georgia Southern, winning 9-0, 10-3, and 14-0. Starting pitching, very solid for the Vols, but the offense was the story. Jarrell Ortega and Seth Stevenson both hit over 500 on the weekend, with Ortega getting 2 home runs. The 2 combined to drive in 8 total, while Drew Gilbert drove in 6. Tony Vitello's club is loaded, and they are looking ready to go for a deep run once again. Number 16, Georgia, they swept their series with Albany, winning 4-2, 7-6, and 9-1. Josh McAllister, he drove in 5 runs for the Dogs this weekend, while Cole Tate went 6 for 13 at the plate. Jonathan Cannon pitched 6 shutout innings to pick up a W on Friday night. Georgia looking pretty good. Other games around the SEC, Texas A&M got the Jim Schlossnagle era underway with a 3-game series sweep of Fordham. Trevor Warner drove in 6 with a home run and 3 doubles. Micah Dallas and Nathan Detmer both pitched really well in their starts. Kentucky, they swept the series at Jacksonville State, where they scored 10 runs Friday, 15 runs on Sunday. Raj Anu drove in 5 for the Cats, while Daniel Harris went 5 for 11. Kentucky pitching held Jacksonville State to just 2 runs Saturday and 1 run on Sunday. South Carolina, they won 2 out of 3 to win a series against UNC Greensboro. They needed extra innings to do so on Sunday after splitting the first 2 games of the series. Michael Braswell hit a fielder's choice in the bottom of the 10th, but the story was the Gamecocks were trailing 7-1 in the 9th on Sunday before they put together the improbable rally. Andrew Eister drove in 8 runs on the weekend, including a grand slam in that epic 9th comeback. So congrats to South Carolina. Alabama, they swept their series with Xavier to start 3-0 on the year. Dominic Temez hit 2 home runs, while William Hamilton went 6 for 12 at the plate. Missouri, they took 2 out of 3 against Nicholls State, but they will play a scheduled 4th game of that series later today. Torrin Montgomery, he went 4 for 5 with 3 runs scored in yesterday's game. And lastly, a shout out to Auburn Baseball, who went into Dallas, played in the State Farm College Baseball Showdown against a bunch of Big 12 schools. They fell to Oklahoma 3-0 on Friday, but they came back to beat number 12 Texas Tech on Saturday 2-1 behind some really good pitching from Joseph Gonzalez and Blake Burkhalter. And then the bats just erupted on Sunday in a 12-1 win over Kansas State. Sonny DeShara and Blake Rambush both combined for 9 hits on the weekend. So shout out to Auburn getting started on the right foot. Thank you guys again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Now I want to encourage you to go make your second listen. Check out the Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker, they bring the NFL Draft to life every day. with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. That is going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you subscribe and give us a click on YouTube. Of course, we stream all the shows there now, in addition to just the podcast, wherever you find your podcasts. We're going to have some great shows throughout this week. We'll get into some more talk on college football not expanding the playoff, what that means for the SEC. We'll get into that. And we'll have some other great interviews as well, including one with former South Carolina DB Jalen Foster, who's preparing for the next level in the NFL draft. We'll talk with him later this week as well. I'm Chris Gordy. Talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC.